Imagine this. It's 11 p.m. and the phone by your pillow buzzes 3 times. You know it isn't urgent, yet you still open it on reflex reply. Explain and then watch that typing bubble yank your heart rate higher. It's not that you have nothing to do. Your to-do list is heaped on your desk like a rising tide. It's not that you lack ideas. You're just being choked by the leash of caring about their feelings, other people's evaluations, the faint veneer of propriety in a relationship. You think you're keeping the peace, but you've handed over the keys to your attention. Whoever can interrupt you at any time owns you. You've told yourself more than once, this time I'll be decisive. But when the moment comes, you still smooth things over, agree, appease, 甚至 take on expectations the other person never even voiced. Of course you know saying that matters, yet the instant refusal reaches your tongue, your mind conjures a disappointed face, a colleague's let down eyes, a parent's sigh. You've changed. You fear the sound of a relationship cracking. You fear the labels cold, selfish, difficult. So you step back and back again until your boundaries thin into fog, until even I'd like a quiet night feels embarrassing to say. Don't rush to blame yourself. This isn't only your struggle. Modern life functions like a vast attention exchange, notification badges, instant messages, fragmentary threads, proof of presence. We're trained to be always on, trained into an explain on-demand persona, trained to measure our goodness by other people's comfort. It looks like you're maintaining relationships, but you're actually exporting time. It looks like you're caring for others, but you're actually overdrawing yourself. Caring used to be a bridge. Overcaring becomes a conduit of control. It needs no conspiracy, only your default settings. Satisfy others first. Consider yourself later. Promise first. Tally the cost after. Swallow the feeling first. Pretend everything's fine later. You may protest, I'm just being polite. Yeah, I'm just being reliable. But think back to the last request you forced yourself to accept. In the second you said yes, you felt brief relief. In the ounce you carried it out, you wore yourself down in resentment. The subtler loss is that, beneath the surface, you forfeit ownership of your time. One's instant response becomes others' reasonable expectation of you. Silence is read as indifference, a delayed reply as disrespect. You start fearing blank space, fearing lack, fearing your own tempo, and so your rhythm turns into someone else's agenda. The real question has never been, should I care about others? But, the more you care, who is controlling you? Is it the flickering ellipses in the chat box or your inner hunger to be liked? Is it their urgency or your addiction to the good person narrative? You think boundaries are blunt refusals. In truth, boundaries are order: who comes first, who comes later, under what conditions, and in what manner your time and feelings may be used. Order isn't heartless. It's the only way relationships remain sustainable. Order isn't cold. It's the only guarantee that respect is replicable. In this episode, we won't peddle empty motivation, nor encourage emotional backlash. Our task is to take the leash of caring back from others, not to sever relationships, but to reclaim choice. Ahead is a clear framework, 6 steps to rebuild boundaries, not scattered platitudes, but an executable sequence from awareness to scripts, from low-risk practice to consequence management. You don't need to become a stone-faced enforcer overnight. You only need to start with one small move. Place your time, your replies, your emotions back into your own order. I put an operable list in the description and sorted it into a PDF file. If you need it, you can get a PDF link in the description. The ultimate question is, when you are no longer driven by the urge to care, but by self-defined order, what kind of person will you become? Are you ready to trade a series of courteous, lucid mini refusals for long-term freedom? You think caring is just an attitude. In fact, it's first and foremost a structure. Whoever defines what counts as urgent holds the priority. Whoever decides who owes explanations holds the power to adjudicate. Many people's trouble isn't about kindness, it's that order has been taken over by the other person's emotions. When order yields to emotion, caring turns from a bridge of connection into a leash that pulls you along. High validation addiction, neural circuits shaped by praise. Our brains are wired to reward being affirmed, and modern communication turns the reward into a variable ratio slot machine. Sometimes you're praised, sometimes ignored, sometimes you get an instant reply, sometimes you're left unread. The most addictive thing isn't steady goodness, but intermittent goodness. One thoughtful instant reply from you quickly becomes someone else's baseline. The next time you delay 10 minutes, it triggers their anxiety. To relieve it, you speed up again and the loop strengthens. You think you're protecting the relationship, but you're really feeding your brain short-term comfort. The comfort fades, the rule remains. Baked into mutual expectation, your availability becomes someone else's default entitlement. To the good person narrative, identity subdues facts. You hesitate to refuse not mainly for fear of losing cooperation, but for fear of losing your self-image. I am decent and dependable. When the good person narrative clashes with the act of refusal, you use a more exhausting compromise, agreeing while resenting, accepting the task while staying up late to compensate. The stiffer the identity story, the more you read another's disappointment as a moral verdict on you, and hand over choice accordingly. In this way, who I am silently underwrites your time for others. 3 attachment loops and the fawn response. Under high pressure or high expectations, we often default to 4 responses: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Fawning looks gentle, but most easily calcifies into structural inequality in a relationship. It buys short-term harmony by rapidly soothing the other, at the long-term cost of self-depletion. Over time, the other party learns to train you with displeasure, silence, or negation. You learn to purchase brief calm with overinvestment. Neither side intends harm, but behavior is sculpted by one another's emotions without boundaries. Emotion becomes the rule. IV the drama triangle, the hidden trapdoor of role rotation. When boundaries blur, 3 roles spin quickly. Victim feels exploited. Rescuer derives worth from saving you. Persecutor isn't truly malicious, but uses emotion to extract. Today you're the rescuer on this project. Tomorrow, in another relationship, you're the victim. When you finally erupt, you're perceived as the persecutor. Without clear boundaries, goodwill and grievance simply shuttle between roles, and energy is spent repairing the scene instead of correcting the structure. Read the availability economy. Whoever can interrupt you, wants you. Over-communication tools repackage interruption as connection. But interruption isn't neutrally carried hidden cost. Every hop out of your rhythm imposes a context-switching toll on the brain. As the count climbs, you're not doing more things, you're being done by more things. When your default is always callable, others naturally inflate what's urgent. Because the sooner they capture your attention, the sooner they claim your resources. In this economy, people without boundaries are treated as low-cost resources, and demand expands by itself. We either fear silence, misreading delay as indifference. Many people fear replying slowly lest they be misunderstood. But the real danger isn't being misunderstood. It's treating other people's misunderstanding as your obligation. Each time you explain to fill the silence, the socialized norm of instant presence encroaches on your private space. Silence isn't indifference, it's the settling of information. Delay isn't neglect, it's a buffer for decision-making. If a relationship must rely on immediate response, it already embodies a fragile and unsustainable structure. The body memory. A tense nervous system says yes for you. You intend to say no, yet your throat tightens and your fingers are already typing sure. That's the body's pre-commitment. Past experiences of conflict, blame, or abandonment have bound disagreement to danger in your nervous system. So you use caring to avoid risk and self-sacrifice to feel safe. The problem is, chronic violation of felt truth provokes bodily pushback fatigue, burnout, disordered sleep, You think you're overloaded, but the real issue is underbounded. 8. Mistaking emotion for a reason. Neglecting the negotiation of order. Many people refuse by explaining motives. I'm really busy. I wish I could help. The more you explain, the more it sounds like pleading. Once the other person hooks onto your motive, the discussion shifts from is this feasible back to are you good enough? Which is why so many arguments end in a moral slugfest. The core of boundaries isn't proving your virtue, but specifying usage rules, under what conditions, and what frequency, through which channels, and during which times your time and feelings may be fairly used. Order is negotiable. Motives are often weaponized for judgment. To sum up, caring turns into control not because people are born bad, but because there's no clear, explicit, reusable order of boundaries. When reward mechanisms are hijacked by uncertainty. When identity stories commandeer your choices. When emotion displaces rules. When interruption is packaged as care. When silence is stigmatized, you end up surrendering sovereignty over your time and attention in one relationship after another. Next, we'll examine the long-term costs of this machine. How it wears down your self-respect, warps your priorities, and pushes what truly matters off the stage of your life. Boundaries aren't a mere attitude statement. They're the underlying operating system of order in your life. When they're missing for a long time, the cost doesn't explode at once, it seeps in like a silent leak. What you don't notice is what hurts most. First, priorities rewritten. The urgent crowds out the important. You plan to do a deep work task that would shape the next 6 months. But 3. Could you quickly help with the messages sliced to pieces? Every interruption leaves attention residue. Even when you return to your desk, your mind replays the prior exchange, draining focus. The result, your life is increasingly driven by other short-term emergencies, rather than your long-term essentials. It looks like kindness, but you're paying a hidden tax to always available. Second, self-respect hollowed out. Can't refuse. Then can't trust yourself. The foundation of self-respect is self-consistency. I do what I say I will do, at my own pace. Each time you override your true feeling to appease, you etch a verdict into yourself. I don't deserve my own rhythm. Over time, self-trust collapses. Procrastination and self-doubt amplify each other. Fear of refusal leads to inability to focus, which then proves you're incapable, locking in a vicious loop. Third, relationships turn brittle. Reasonable requests harden into rights. Human nature trends this way. Predictable kindness becomes assumed entitlement. When you treat instant response as politeness, the other party promotes it to a default rule. Any delay is read as you've changed. The relationship slides from mutual respect to one-way appeasement. You think you're protecting connection. In fact, you're training dependence. Any bond that requires ongoing self-depletion to persist is structurally unequal and breaks at the slightest gust. Fourth, choice outsourced. The market prices your time at zero. In economics, a zero price implies infinite demand. If you treat quick favors as your norm, the world will treat your time as a free resource. When demand is infinite, anxiety is infinite. You're not crushed by one person, you're crushed grain by everyone. Worse, you'll reflexively subsidize everything. Organizational chaos. Others' poor time management. Responsibilities that were never yours. Fifth, the body's ledger. Your nervous system exacts a chronic revenge. What you call social fatigue is your nervous system stuck in chronic high arousal, shallow sleep, unstable heart rate, waking as if chased. The body forces a halt in the bluntest but truest ways. Frequent calls, scattered attention, a lowered emotional threshold. You think you need more discipline. Your body is saying, shut down for maintenance first. Sixth, the ceiling on capability. Complex outcomes require long, unbroken time. What truly widens the gap is the time you can sink into undisturbed. When your hours are diced into fragments, you're pushed toward short half-life tasks, answering messages, superficial polish, patching flare-ups instead of building systems, refining work, accruing long-term assets. Day to day, you won't see the difference. After 3 months, you ship nothing substantial. After a year, you wonder, is this all I am? 7th, emotional spillover. Good people turn passive-aggressive. Chronic grievance doesn't vanish, it reroots. If you won't refuse at the source, it leaks elsewhere. Coolness, vibe jokes, sarcasm, habitual lateness, half-hearted effort. You maintain the kind person image while the relationship quietly corrodes. Not daring to say no eventually makes you say worse things. No boundaries eventually make you do more hurtful things. 8th, bad culture replicates in teams and families. Boundaryless members see the danger as common sense. If someone just pushes harder, problems go away. Processes remain broken. Roles unclear. Contingencies unmade because you'll catch it anyway. Such organizations cannot evolve. In such families, children learn that sacrifice is the price of love. You think it's your personal choice. You're actually replicating a culture that harms everyone. 9th, explosive collapse. Chronic fawning ends in extreme exits. People who run without boundaries seldom leave cleanly. Either they deliver an explosive refusal one day, unloading years of resentment at once, or they choose a ghosting exit, paying off the accumulated debt of explanations by cutting all ties. Both leave wreckage and make you fear boundary setting even more, pulling you back into the forgive suppress gives blow-up cycle. 10th, narrative hijacked. Equating kindness with limitless availability. When you trade self-expenditure for harmony, your inner value equation warps. My worth equals I am always usable. That's a hostage-taking of your self-story. The more you long to be seen, the more you offer on call as the chip. The result, what gets seen is your availability, not your distinctiveness. If life is a production line, boundaries are the facility's access control without a gate. Visitors consume your capacity. The busier you get, the less you produce anything valuable. The capable aren't cruel. They install the door before discussing reception. This isn't hostility to the world, it's creating sustainable order for connection. Once you grasp these costs, you see, rebuilding boundaries isn't an emotional backlash. It's a system upgrade. Next, we'll move beyond awareness into implementation, a 6-step process from noticing to scripts, from low-risk trials to debrief and consolidate so you can reclaim the keys, cleanly and clearly. In real-world situations, boundaries aren't a slogan, they're designed for executable order. The 6 steps below turn I see the problem into I can do this every day. Step 1. Awareness. Get the invisible drain onto paper. Go. See clearly for whom, in which situations, and for what reasons you're caring. How? Start a boundary vitals log and record. 40 consecutive days. These items for 3 incidents per day. Trigger words, phrases, e.g. It'll only take a minute. You should look now. Body response tight throat, racing heart, fingers water typing sure, felt truth, angry, guilty/afraid of disappointing. What I handed over time, attention, money/commitment. Intensity score issue. Reminder, don't rush to fix. First spot the pattern, a specific person, time window, phrasing. The more concrete the awareness, the more precise the design to follow. Step 2. Clarify. Price the cost before you choose. Goal. Reframe the good person narrative from a moral question into a cost question. 3. Question check. Cost. What will I spend time? Focus. Emotion/money. Risk. What's the price of failure or delay? Who is affected? Reversibility. If it proves wrong, can I roll back with low damage? Output. List your non-negotiable minimums in MI to daily 290-minute deep work blocks. Fixed sleep window plus or minus 30 minutes. No private loans to friends, relatives. No urgent messages handled at 12:30 and 18:30. When a request comes in, line it up against your NMI. Only what doesn't conflict with NMI proceeds to the next step. Step 3. Set rules. Turn fake kindness into explicit order. 3 layers of boundaries. Information boundary. How to contact me. Channels and windows. Example. Work matters via email with the project group CCD. Leave a message for ad hoc items. Do not accept unknown voice calls. Emotion boundary. What I'm responsible for. I'm responsible for clarity and on-time delivery. I'm not responsible for processing others' feelings about my delay. Refusal. Time boundary. When I respond, deliver. Default T+1 response. Urgent means impact safety, compliance, non-reversible loss otherwise. It is not urgent. Lightweight announcement template PN for team, family group, or state verbally in advance. To ensure quality, I batch replies at 12:30 and 18:30. For ad hoc items, please give 24 小时 notice. I'll give a clear answer in those windows. Thanks for understanding. Saying rules upfront dramatically reduces misunderstanding and last-minute emotional pressure. Step 4. Scripts. 3-line responses. Courteous and clear. Structure. Acknowledge plus fact plus choice. Don't explain motives. Don't issue empty IORs. Work. Last minute ad. 1. Acknowledge. I know this feels urgent. Fact. I already have deliverables scheduled tonight. Choice. I can share 2 options by 10 a.m. tomorrow. Would you pick one? Friend. Relative asks to borrow money. Acknowledge. I understand it's a tough moment. Fact. I have a fixed finance boundary and don't do private loans. Choice. I can help map solutions, contact official channels with you. Romantic cold shoulder. Acknowledge. I care about this relationship. Fact. Silence won't resolve this. I'll send one message at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Choice. If there's still no reply, I'll treat that as agreeing to part, with good wish both ways. Friend as last minute hangout. Acknowledge. I'd love to see you. Fact. Tonight is my deep work window. Choice. Shall we switch to Saturday afternoon, or a 20-minute video call? Social. Read. Receive pressure. Acknowledge. I've seen your message. Fact. I'm in focused work and reply at 18:30. Choice. If it's a compliance, safety emergency, call me directly. Loop break a line when someone keeps probing your motives. I get that you care about the why. What I can commit to is the how. These are the true options I can offer. Step 5. Pilot. Start in low-risk contexts. Build win rate. Pick targets. Begin with safe relationships and steady contexts the co-work with quick favor. In non-urgent add in a group chat. 2 experiments. Batch reply windows. Except for emergencies. All messages are processed in the 12:30, 18:30 batches. Refusal list challenge. Complete 3 low-risk refusals this week. For each, log the outcome and an emotion score. Soft, firm ratio. Polite 70% plus principle 30%. Politeness is tone. Principle is the line. Slip-up protocol. If you instantly replied or agreed too fast, use the repair script. I answer too quickly. After checking my schedule, this would affect an existing deliverable. I need to move it to X time, or offer option B. The key is to correct quickly. Don't keep overdrawing to maintain a good person image. Step 6. Review and consequence management. Turn one win into your norm. Weekly, 101-minute review. Answer for questions. What was the most effective line? Script this week. Which trigger word still stings me? Which relationship needs advance notice instead of on-the-spot refusal? Where did I mistake explaining for respect? Traffic, led relationship chat. Green, respects boundaries. Predictable deepen collaboration, closeness. Yellow, occasional oversteps. Coachable send the announcement. Shorten commitment cycles. Red, chronically ignores boundaries. Applies emotional pressure. Start exit protocol. Exit protocol for red only. I've stated my pace and boundaries multiple times. We've both tried to adjust, but lines keep getting crossed. For both our well-being, I'm reducing collaboration, contact to the minimum. Wishing you well. To standardized lines for emotion handling. When accused, labeled. I hear your disappointment, but replying immediately and caring about you are not the same thing. Let's discuss workable arrangements, not each other's personalities. Quantify consolidation, set pre-trackable metrics. Interruptions, DM, trending down. Total deep work counts, DM, trending up. Average emotion intensity and less volatility. Positive reinforcement. Each successful boundary moment earns a reversible small reward. 10 guilt-free minutes walking/a warm drink. A page of a beloved book. Teach your brain to pair refusal with safety. For pocket cards to carry for noise, sticky. 3-question decision card. Cost, risk, reversibility. 3-layer boundary card. Information, emotion, time. Write 1 rule for each. 3-line script card. Acknowledge, fact, choice. Prepare to backup options. Review card. This week's most effective script. Biggest trigger. Next week's advance notice. Once you run these 6 steps, you'll notice refusal shifts from confronting others to maintaining order. Delay shifts from impolite to quality control. Silence shifts from indifference to letting information settle. You're not colder, you're no longer driven by the compulsion to care. Looking back over the whole path, you'll see this. We didn't delete caring from your life, we relocated it from other people's momentary emotions back into your own order. Boundaries aren't walls, they're gates. They let what truly matters pass first and let relationships flow sustainably within clear rules. What you actually took back 6 things. 1. Time sovereignty. No longer burning whole blocks of deep work on fragmented replies. 2. Attention allocation. Fund long-term assets before short-term urgencies. 3. Explanatory authority. Shift from proving motives to stating rules. 4. Cadence rights. Replace reactive presence with G+1. Batch replies and fixed on/off windows. 5. Interpersonal contract rights. Make clear what counts as a reasonable request. 6. Exit rights. When repeated clarification fails, downshift the relationship with dignity and low drama. Final insights. 1. Kindness isn't being on call. Kindness is tending your own order first, then being responsible to others within your capacity. 2. Respect isn't appeasing emotions. Respect is clarity plus consistency delivered. 3. The opposite of caring isn't coldness. It's water that isn't hijacked by emotion. Bottom line, who defines your rhythm shapes your fate. When your rhythm is set by you, the feeling of being controlled recedes like 4. The 1 action plan start tonight. 1. Write your NMI non-negotiable minimums. Just 3. Sleep window. Deep work blocks. Unified reply times. 2. Send a lightweight announcement pinned to team, family, your contact channels, and reply cadence in advance. 3. Launch the no-reply window experiment. Except for safety, compliance. Handle messages only at 12:30分,18:30分. For complete 1 low-risk refusal using the 3-line script. Acknowledge, fact, choice, and log your emotion intensity. 5. Do a 10-minute review. Note today's strongest line and 1 trigger word that still stings. Weekly micro plan reusable. Mom, refusal practice 乘1. Tuesday, slow replies by 30 to 120 minutes. Wed, state only facts and choices. 3. Interrupt 1 auto accept scenario. Friday, win, read review. Sun, lighten social load. Close 5 unnecessary inboxes, entry points. Sun, write next week's advance notice. Follow this, and you'll notice a subtle but solid shift. People start doing homework before they ping you. Your calendar finally has whole, quiet blocks, and you move through relationships gentle yet bounded. That isn't you turning cold, it's you finally taking the keys back from the compulsion to care and sliding them into your own pocket.